Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Reluctant Nabi back again. All right, and so I was having a few discussions, got involved with a Facebook discussion, and had a discussion on TikTok, and it's the same old, same old. And then I started to figure something out that the black woman is living or following the shadow of white women. They are actually living in the shadow of white women. All right. And I'll explain what I mean by this. And you can see what I mean by this by just looking at Black China. All right. You can see exactly what I mean by this. Now, with this said, it is the deeds of the BAW that are exposing them, which is why we can say that they are living in the shadow of white women. And by living in the shadow of white women, what I mean is that they are following them into every disastrous thing or everything that's been a disaster for the entire community as a whole. When we look at what's actually happened to the Afro community, we can see that we've done worse than all other time in our history after the 70s, within the 60s and 70s. Well, what was happening then? It was the CIA, white women, the government, whatever. They went and talked to the black woman and said, we want you to obliterate your family and community. We'll give you subpar housings and food stamps. All right. Not only that, what they did was they put them on a bunch of TV shows and they lied. I mean, outright lied, statistical lies against the Afro men for the better part of the last, let's say, few decades, since the 1960s and 70s. It started with Dinah Shore, the single black mother. All right. And you saw it then, the plan to destroy the Afro family, because the Afro family, historically speaking, had survived everything else the Caucasians threw at us. But when they threw the black woman at us, the community fell to pieces. All right. They formulated a plan, the government, the CIA, the FBI, the Democrats primarily, with the complacency of the Republicans. And that plan was to destroy the Afro man and his legacy. Not only destroy the Afro man, but his legacy. I want y'all to take a look at this again and remember it, because I show this from time to time. Excerpts from the COINTELPRO document, all right, with Dennis Mueller and Deb Ellis, all right? Pay attention to what their goals were. All right, a documentary by Dennis Mueller and Deb Ellis, right? What were the goals? The goals was to prevent the coalition of a militant black nationalist group. Why? Not because they were dangerous. All right? Not because they committed crimes. The Black Panther Party didn't commit crimes. They did something that was way much worse. All right? And let me tell you what they did that was worse. What they did that was worse is they came up with systems to feed children and train and teach children so that the children would be proud of self and grow up in knowledge. It was men teaching these children, followed by women who was a part of this group. But the women betrayed us. They became treasonous and they traded in the Afro man for the thug and drugs, subpar housing, food stamps. Oh, and a platform to continue to trash and bash Afro men and lie on us into perpetuity. Only now are we really starting to stand up and reason with amongst ourselves and figure out what really is going on. Oh, I forgot to greet everybody. Bonjour, mes amis. Kedabawani konnichiwa. Ni hao ni ama. Sane bonani. Jambo habarigane. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Kamustaka. Kamustapokayo. And talafa lava soe fua. All right. So, how do you prevent this coalition of black nationalist group? You have to have the inside person. That inside person has always been the black woman. Who taught us to be separate from each other? Who taught us to be crabs in a barrel? Who taught us that we was ugly? Who taught us that we was black? Who taught us males that we wasn't going to be no good because our damn daddy ain't no good? Think about that. It was the first teacher, the only teacher from time to time. All right? So this took care of the second problem, preventing the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. So how did they do this? Brothers, this is how they did this. They got men to concentrate solely on the desires of women instead of looking at the community as a whole. And the women trained their sons not to be men concerned for family, not to be husbands. Well, because they couldn't train them to be husbands because they was 304s in the street riding that carousel. All right? No, they trained their daughters to go after the system. They trained their daughters that they didn't need no man. They never trained their daughters to be wives. It's a funny thing. I come down here to Colombia and see a whole different type of woman here. All right? But how you do this is you brainwash the children before they even have a thought of thinking about unifying and electrifying and becoming a movement. They never do it because we never work together as men. Why? We was taught to be individualists by our moms. We was taught to be in our feelings. There's some ignorant dude coming on TikTok talking about the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, and we are not in our emotions. Men aren't supposed to be in emotions. That's why the Most High gave us women. We are supposed to make logical reasoning based on how she feels and what we know as far as logic. And then we could come up with the best thing. All right. The next thing is prevent militant nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to the community. Who was the first people every time men tried to do something to bring us out of the mess? Who was the first one to trash the men? Usually behind some sexual thing. Remember the guy that gave millions of dollars to Morehouse and Spelman to pay off tuition? Who trashed that man? It was black women that trashed that man for giving money because what? Oh, he was married to a white woman. The very woman they're trying to be. We'll show that in a minute. All right, but I want you to understand. Now, I've been talking about this since 2009, but now it's no longer. At first, when I first started talking about it, I was trying to make the black woman aware that she is destroying the community, and by destroying the community, she would be destroying herself. But then I started to realize that not only did they realize what they were doing, but they didn't care about the destruction. So long as they got the thing that made them feel good for a little bit, they were good. All right. And now you got black women on TikTok talking about the legacy of Martin Luther King should be just taken away because he might have had sex with another woman. Think about that for a minute. You talking about decontrol, depolicing. They depolicing a dead man to take away the legacy and the pain and the jail time, the assassination. But see, they assassinate the man. The black women will assassinate their character. Again, let me repeat that. They, the Caucasian government, the FBI, assassinated the man. Oh, all this stuff has come out. The Democrats, these were Democrats, assassinated the man. And now the black woman is going to double down and assassinate the character of Afro men. They don't care about white men sleeping around. Half of them are sleeping with the white man. But they don't care. They only care when the Afro man decides he's had enough and that he's not going to die alone, so he's going to exercise his options. Michael B. Jordan has learned that the hard way. I doubt you'll see him with another so-called melanated queen, Q-U-E-A-N. All right, so that's step 3. Step 4, to prevent long-range growth of a militant black nationalist organization, especially among the youth. Excerpt from the COINTELPRO papers.
This country has never cared about black people. That's right. They don't give 2 damns about us. And all of us always turn around worrying about what's good for America, what's good later for America, what's good for black people.
I know what they're going to say, not guilty, because no one saw them pull the trigger. I'm tired of that. Don't bow down anymore. Hold your head up. You want our freedom now.
They assassinated him. What was he upset about? They murdered little black girls.
I don't want to have to go to another anymore. Tired of children. Tired of it. That's fair enough.
We must also realize that the problems of racial injustice and economic injustice cannot be solved without a radical redistribution of political and economic power.
If you can't do for yourself what the white man is doing for himself, don't say you're equal with the white man. Right. If you can't set up a factory like he sets up a factory, don't talk that old equality talk.
Assassinated. While these men were being assassinated, standing up for the rights of all, even including people from outside of the Afro community who's never gone through what we've gone through. The black woman today now comes along and tries to assassinate the character of these men. Why? Their feelings. All this weave, unbelievable. This is the slut walk by Amber Rose, followed by China. In other words, Amber Rose come up with it, China followed it, and then sure enough, got a bunch of black women that decide to follow the white women. This is why I say in the shadows of white women, you will find these black women. Oh, they went to a black college, Spelman. It don't mean a damn thing to the black women though. The paper is a tool as a bludgeoning that they use to try to beat over the head of Afro men who are making more money than them because the men went into a trade. And not only that, the men don't have all that student loan money to be paying them back. But these women, because of that piece of paper that was given to them by the white Caucasian man and his system, has said to herself in her head that they will follow the white woman and destroy the Afro community. Every destructive thing from abortion to the slut walk to anything that these white women could come up with, the black women followed it. They say they had our backs. No, they've been stabbing us in the back. Name one thing that the black woman came up with that benefited the entire community. I just named a bunch of stuff that the Black Panthers came up with. We talked about Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, Fred Hampton, do you know why they assassinated him? White police officers went and shot him in his bed and then lied about everything. Now you have them same gutless police officers that couldn't rush in to save children at a school in Uvalde, concerned for their lives. And then the Supreme Court says that the police don't have to protect anymore. Then they need to turn all that SH in, because we don't need them. Give us our guns, our Second Amendment rights, and we'll protect ourselves, because that's what it comes down to. But the first persons that we as Afro men, good Afro men, need to protect ourselves from is these black women that follow these white women in every dangerous endeavor they decide they want to exact upon the community of the United States. All right. And so basically, this is the craziness. They sit up here and they do this kind of stuff, and then they wonder why no one wants to deal with them anymore. The jig is up, the game is up. The Afro man, the good Afro man, is no longer bamboozled. And yes, we realize there are decent black women, decent Afro women, some real bona fide sisters out there, but they are few and far in between. I said if I see one, I'll snatch her up because that's the one that needs protection. But the majority of them don't. All right, and we're not even. This is even worse than what y'all think. Okay, our women destroy the sons so that they can be manipulated by other women. And then if you look in the background, you see a bunch more of destroyed sons following a woman. I want y'all to grasp that for a second. You got a bunch of destroyed sons following a white woman the same way the black female is following the same white women. Because after all, instead of the role model of these sons being a decent man, their role models is their mom. Who the hell do you think is teaching these boys how to dress in ways I'm becoming a man? It's their mom. It's their mom, aunt, and sister. See, all these women want to say, oh, we're proud of our melanin. Then the first thing they go out to do is get the white woman's hair. You got some of them that's their natural hair. All right, but the model that's being promoted the most, nope, not their natural hair. Those who look at it, oh yes, now that's real beauty. No, I don't see beauty. I see somebody trying to be this. They follow this to the grave. Oh, let me put it this way. They follow this to the child's grave. All right. Here's the thing, and this is idiot. It is healthcare, but when they're destroying that child, they know that, and the reason why they go to the doctor, because they don't want any harm to their body. They know and understand that they are destroying another human being. Oh, Y'all don't think they know? These women know exactly what they're doing. They know that they are destroying another human being. See, a lot of simps ain't going to sit around and listen to the message and get an understanding as to what is really going on with this mess, because they don't want to hear this. Remember, this, after all, this is their black whine. They say abortion is a woman's right. Let that be. Okay, who cares? Now, freeze this right here. Abortion requires an operation. It kills the life of a baby. Y'all see that? After it has begun. It's dangerous to your life and health and may make you sterile, so that when you want a child, you cannot have it. Birth control merely postpones the beginning of life. Okay? This is a question and answer thing. All right? And the question is what is birth control? That's the beginning of the question. It is a safe and simple way to plan for your children to have them when you want them. All right. When you look at all the stuff that they used to write, this is what Planned Parenthood, this is part of the warning. Is birth control and abortion? Definitely out. An abortion, again, requires an operation. It kills the life of a baby after it has begun. So these women know exactly what they are doing. No doubt about it. All right. So then they follow the white woman to this whole culture, this 304 culture, where they sit up and pick the men meat like vultures. You know, want to drain out his bank because he met her in a halter when he and her had no intentions of running before the altar. Oh, I can keep this going, but I'm going to stop before I falter. I want y'all to read this. The first national study of the prevalence of multiple partner fertility shows that 28% of all U.S. women with 2 or more children have children by more than one man. The study was presented April 1st in Washington, D.C. at an annual meeting of the Population Association of America. For the study, all right, Dr. Dorius analyzed the data on 4,000 U.S. women who were interviewed more than 20 times over a period of 27 years as a part of the National Longitudinal Survey of Youth. She found that having children by different fathers was more common among minority women, with 59% of African American mothers, 35% of Hispanic mothers, and 22% of white mothers reporting multiple partner fertility. Women who were not living with a man when they gave birth and those with low income and less educated were also more likely to have children from different men. The link is in the description box. This is the destruction that the BAW has caused to the community. All right, but again, if we go and pay attention, we will discover a couple of things in this so-called whole culture. That yes, 54% of Afro men do not have children. And the thing that they're getting wrong is as of 2019, 30% of Afro men had children from marriage. All right. So if you take that 54% and add that to the 30%, you'll get 84% of Afro men who either don't have children or have them by way of a union with a woman that is a wife. Then you see what's left over. And those, well, we see the 59% with no baby daddy. When they have these children, the daddy ain't even sticking around. Well, that's because it's the bottom 16%. You know, the dudes coming out of prison. Remember the story that I put up on TikTok and years ago on YouTube about the 3 dudes in Tennessee that had 86 children from 46 different women, only 3, and they were pretty much felons. One was a serious felon too. Black men were more likely to be married than white men until 1960. All right. 1960, that's when the Caucasian man passed the black man, the Afro man. Until 1970, black women were more likely to be married than white women. Now, they're hardly worth marrying at all. Let that sink in. I keep telling you that there was a point that we prospered. Don't let the lies of the BAW get inside your head where she says, the black men ain't never did nothing for us. That's a lie straight out of the pits of hell. But then they're working on behalf of the FBI and the CIA to destroy the Afro man's image and all of our history and the work that we've done. And it's up to us Afro men to keep that alive. Some of you brothers better wake up. Y'all need to share this particular video too. All right. So, at the end of the day, what do we have? We have a bunch of weaved wonders that consistently get run through by the Caucasian man that say that they don't need no Afro man. And that at the end of the day, they're independent. They got their piece of paper. But when you look at it, it's just a bunch of women who consistently follows the customs of the Caucasian woman. I mean, when you really look at it, these are women that follow the customs of the Caucasian women. They don't follow their own custom. They don't follow the Afro men. They follow the Caucasian women. So when I say they're living in the shadow of the Caucasian woman, that's exactly what I mean. They are living in the shadow of the Caucasian women. And every disastrous thing that they came up that destroyed their community, it destroyed the Afro community. But hey, these Caucasian women like this are their idols. And you got these simp and hoteps that follow the very women that follow these Caucasian women, trying to look like them. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to allow some woman to rob the Afro men of their history so that the children won't have nothing to look to as a legacy. Don't forget to subscribe, share. My PayPal, me, and Cash App will be in the description box. With that said, I'm out.